up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the Warframe video. So we got another episode of This Week in Warframe. We're going over the entire weekly reset, including the new Elite Archimedians. If you enjoy these types of videos, make sure you're subbed. We do daily Warframe video uploads on this channel, including this thing. Also, I'll be live on stream after this goes up with the last day of drops. You want to get archon shards, some other stuff just for watching? Come on, stop by. All right, let's get right into it as we go over this weekly reset and go over what you can basically expect as a Warframe player this week in Warframe. All right, so the first item is a kit gun riven mod at Teshin for 75 steel essence. Not exactly the most valuable riven, but if you want to get this for like a spore lacer or whatever, be my guest. All right, so as far as the first news item, there's not really a ton scheduled for this week in Warframe, but I do have some speculation. Now, if you were to look at the dates of when Gauss Prime was released, the most recent Prime Warframe, they were released in January 17th of this year. And if you know a lot about the release schedules of this game, we get a Prime access roughly every 3 months. And we already know the next one will be Protea Prime. So personally, I am expecting some type of information on Protea Prime's release date during this week. So it's not going to be like she releases this week, but they'll tell us like basically when Gauss Prime access will end during this week. So that's not confirmed at all, but if the timeline is correct here, every 3 months they should be giving us info. Expect Protea Prime information very soon. Beyond that, there is a new alert coming up next week for the 11th anniversary, but it's not going to be really nothing to write home about. As well as things not to write home about, we have the Archimedean wares here, and as far as what she's got, or they've got for this week, we got the Pistol Riven mod for 15 Pathos, Archon Catalyst Blueprint for 20 Pathos, so one of the more valuable things they can bring here. It's a way to get free Archon Catalyst Blueprint. We've got a Shotgun Riven mod for 15 Pathos, Forma Blueprint for 10 Pathos, and 5k Kuva for 10 Pathos. So yeah, the Archon Catalyst is probably the only thing really worth getting here, in my opinion. So yeah, we are still in the 11th anniversary, and the double credit weekend is ending like tomorrow morning. There will be a double affinity weekend, not this upcoming weekend, but the weekend after that. So like 2 weeks, there'll be another double affinity weekend to level up things a lot quicker. Let's go to the Kavia and see what kind of Elite Archimedian we have in store for us this week. The last two, last week was definitely pretty troll for, you know, if you had bad weapons. I've had bad weapons and, for the most part, not great frames every single week for these. And if you want to unlock these, how you get that is you have to get to the rank 5 with this Kavia Syndicate, and then you'll have access to the Elite Archimedian optional mission per week. Alright, so as far as our Elite Archimedian this week, we've got Exterminate, Mere Defense, and Disruption. For the modifiers, we've got Frame Curse Syndrome. Activating an ability will inflict 50 damage upon you. Lethargic Shields. Your shield regeneration delay increased by 500%. So that's basically, if you have Harrow or something, or like, for example, I have Mag right here, you want to be able to restore shield instantly without relying on built-in regeneration. So that's a thing to keep in mind. Untreatable. Pickups do not heal, and health orbs cannot be picked up. So you're going to be looking for external healing sources. So if you have the Molt Reconstruct Arcane, whenever you cast an ability, it will give you health back. There's also health regen Archon shards. This one might be pretty brutal for some players out there, especially depending on what frame you have available to you. And the last modifiers would be abbreviated abilities. Ability duration is reduced by 75%. So yeah, just to put that in perspective, every time you cast an ability, you take 50 damage. Your abilities last 75% less duration. You cannot heal from pickups or health orbs, and also your shield regeneration doesn't exist, basically. As far as the Elite Archimedian and all the mission modifiers, for Exterminate, we have the first one, Sealed Armor. Enemies take 90% less damage when not hitting a weak point. So, reminder, some of the enemies, like the Anatomizer, do not actually have a weak point. So, the Anatomizer will probably be more tanky than usual for this. Additionally, enemies slain will be exploding in void energy. And also, enemies will slowly regenerate health. So I hope that you have a way to destroy the Anatomizer very quickly. So if you have a frame like Baruch on here, like Baruch doesn't really need he can just have like a stat stick, basically. You can just mod his fist, pretty much, and you can just annihilate with Baruch. But yeah, for other examples, maybe you have like Yareli or Caliban. Not going to be really doing great against the Anatomizer with that kind of loadout. For Mere Defense, we've got the modifiers here. No, so the Elite Archimedian modifier is the health regeneration. So if you don't do the Elite, it will not be the health regeneration aspect. For Mere Defense, we've got Eroding Senses. The Oracle and Vitrium take damage over time. Collecting the required Vosphine glyphs will halt the the degradation and partially heal them. So you need to make sure you're grabbing the glyphs on this one. It's going to be constantly taking damage, and also the enemies do hit it pretty hard, especially like the Hollow Vein. So, reminder, you can summon your Necromech in this if you find the Necromech dispenser thing, and that can help you take care of those Hollow Veins. You don't have the best weapons and gear for this. The final modifier for the Elite Archimedean is enemies slain will explode in Void Energy. So Void Energy explosion on both of these two. So yeah, basically just make sure you're getting those glyphs, and you might want to have some CC as well. If you do want to make this mission go faster, you can summon the Mech Eximus enemy. It will remove, I think, 45 seconds from the timer of this you slay the Eximus. And the final mission is Disruption. So we have Engorged Gruslings. All Gruslings are Eximus. That is seriously like a free modifier as far as I'm concerned. So that's cool. Health regeneration on all enemies. So enemies regenerate health slowly with hostile regeneration. That's going to probably include the Demolist too. So you might want to team shot that thing. And the final modifier for the Elite is enemies will only take damage if you are within 15 meters of them. Honestly, this does not sound that bad. I know it might sound bad like reading it right now, but it does not sound that bad. Get in melee range to shoot them. The Demolists are really slow. Maybe if like it was getting away from you, it would be a little bit harder, but I think this might be a pretty easy week as far as the Elite Archimedean. You have most of these modifiers, like enemies explode in Void Energy, enemies slowly regenerate health. And they're a little bit harder to kill. They're a lot harder to kill. 90% less damage when not hitting weak points. So a pretty tame week in my opinion. But also, we've had some pretty troll weeks. Don't forget, now as far as easy things to do, if you don't care about this extra 50 Phosphor at the end, you can put on every modifier, every weapon, and equip Styanax with like a Intrepid Stand Nourish build. That will give you energy, armor strip, overguard. It's just going to be really, really easy. So if you can do that, you will not get the 50 Phosphor at the end for Elite Archimedean, but it's only just 50 Phosphor. You'll get this at least, so a pretty tame week for the Elite Archimedean in my eyes. Let's move on to the next thing. Now, I'm not going to forget the NIGHTWAVE challenges this week, guys. I'm not going to forget it no matter what. We've also got Bird 3 Shiny Treasure, the red Archon Shard for 30,000 rep. Don't forget that, because it can be easy to forget, because it's a really obscure location nowadays. No longer is that called, though. Let's move on to the Carn Rotation and the NIGHTWAVE challenges, which I will never forget, unlike last week where I did forget them. But let's see what we have. I believe that we have a very good week for Incarnons, if my memory serves properly. But first, let's go over the normal path circuit. So we've got Mesa, Chroma, and Atlas. As far as which one's the most annoying to farm, I believe it's going to be Mesa, or actually it depends. Because these frames, I believe, are quest. Chroma's a quest frame, so if you want to get a second copy of Chroma for Helminth, that can be pretty annoying, because it involves Samaris rep. That being said, his Helminth is not really used super often. It's used sometimes. And Atlas's Helminth Petrify is really not used that much, unless you're using a loot build, I suppose, with his augment. But yeah, it requires so much strength. Mesa's got a good Helminth. I'd say either go for Chroma or Mesa. Mesa is kind of a quest frame, not exactly, but she does come from a boss that requires keys. Mutulus Alad V keys to get that one. So that could be a good one. Or if you do want to save a bunch of Samaris rep, go for Chroma. I'd say probably go for Mesa. She's got a good Helminth. And Chroma's Helminth is not really that used, but I'd say both of those are good choices there. We got Mesa's Waltz as the rank up augment for me. I believe this is random per player, though. All right, moving on to the Steel Path. Let's see what we got. Okay, looks like a good one. Reminder, if you haven't played in a while, if you have rank 9 Opportunity Intrinsic, you can choose Kuva and or Rivens instead of your Incarnons for the week. But reviewing each Incarnon really quickly, we got the Lex Incarnon, which is going to make it a Archiplasmor shot in the Incarnon form, which hits really hard. The Magistar Incarnon is just a really good stat stick because of the Incarnon upgrades on it. And the Incarnon form does basically nothing. The Boltor Incarnon becomes a multi-shot, slash shotgun with good damage and good crits. The Bronco Incarnon becomes a chaining, shotgun pistol that can hit pretty hard. And the Ceramic Dagger launches Spectral Daggers in its Incarnon form and has some really good Incarnon upgrades. Going over which ones are the best here for the Lex Incarnon. This thing is extremely powerful on the Lex Prime. I use it as my Saren build. I've used it on Nezha with the nuking build. It's really powerful because the Incarnon form has a forced impact proc. With the mod Hemorrhage, it will cause nearly guaranteed slash procs, which is really nice on a hard-hitting pistol like this, because secondaries don't have Hunter munitions. This is the closest we can get. It's something like that. So I'd recommend this one pretty highly. But here's the thing, though. We have some of the best stat sticks in the whole game here. So if you're looking to play Korra, or Gara, or whoever, some of these other choices might be better for you. Speaking of which, the Magistar Incarnon. This is my go-to stat stick on Cora Prime. I've actually got it equipped on her right now. And the reason for that is because these high-tier upgrades here, such as Critical Parallel, will give you increased critical chance and critical damage. There's also an arcane called Magus Aggress that gives you more critical damage as well on hammers and heavy blades. So that's going to be really powerful in this. That's pretty much what everybody uses it for. There's also the Sancti Magistar, technically more like a healing support melee, but really it just comes down to being a really powerful stat stick as far as Cora is concerned, because it's very focused on crits. Also, any frame that would want a crit stat stick can also use this too, technically. The Boltor INCARNON, a good high-level rifle, like a full-auto rifle, but when you're looking at things like the Magistar INCARNON, the Ceramic Dagger, these are like must-have stat sticks for some frames. It's just a good weapon at the end of the day. The top-tier INCARNONs can give you some increased status chance or crit chance, and I usually use the Boltor Prime. There used to be a glitch with the Telos Boltor doing a lot more damage, but that's been patched out. Telos Boltor is still good, though, so you can choose to put on the Boltor Prime or Telos Boltor, but I would recommend the Boltor Prime over the Telos Boltor nowadays. The Bronco INCARNON, this is one I probably view as the weakest this week, I suppose, even though it's not like it's bad. I've used this with Ash Prime to one-shot level 10,000 Eximus, so that's pretty nice. It's normally only come down to if you have the augment mod from a previous Nightwave season called Dizzying Rounds. Dizzying Rounds works for the Bronco and the Bronco INCARNON for that matter, and will make enemies hit vulnerable to finishers. That's quite nice, and it also gives it a massive status chance increase. So with that mod I was telling you about earlier with the Lex, Hemorrhage, this thing does a bunch of impact procs. If you put that mod on there, it turns impact procs into slash procs, and you get tons and tons of slash procs. But yeah, issues with this one compared to some of the other ones. It feels really clunky. It has bad recoil. It has terrible magazine size and reload speed. It's slow firing for that matter too. So not really like my favorite, not really many people's favorites, but a decent utility item at the end of the day if you do have that Dizzying Rounds mod. If you don't have the Dizzying Rounds mod, maybe just pass on this one for a while, to be honest. And for the final one, this is one you probably are going to definitely want to get this week. It's going to be the Ceramic Dagger INCARNON. Now, you cannot get the Ceramic Dagger weapon itself unless you get it from the Nightwave store, which rotates like every week, basically. But the best options on here is going to be Gun and Blade. On Gun Kill, it gives you increased initial combo, stacked up 100 times. What that means is you get 100 built-in combo after 100 gun kills, and that will not go away. Like, after you heavy attack, it will come back after you heavy attack. So that's really nice. That does apply to also your like exalted weapons, or your pseudo exalted weapons like Cora's stat stick, Whip Claw, and stuff like that. So you have a bunch of built-in combo. So you stack on melee crescendo, you're easy 220, always 12x with a Ceramic Dagger. Additionally, some of these high-tier INCARNONs give you big crit chance or big status chance. So as far as my top recommendations this week, if you're just going in here with nothing at all, tell me the best of the best. Ceramic Daggers to be the most versatile. And, I don't usually recommend you get two melees. So, pick one. Either do you really like Cora or do you want a more universal one as far as a stat stick is concerned? So go with Ceramic Dagger and go with the... you can go with the Lex INCARNON if you want a good pistol, or the Boltor INCARNON if you want a good rifle. I'd say the Lex INCARNON is probably stronger than the Boltor INCARNON, but they're both really, really strong. I like to remind you guys, when I make these recommendation videos, there's not really a bad INCARNON in the game. It's just I'm telling you what ones I'd recommend to you, okay? So... but let's say you like Cora more than, let's say you're a big Cora main. You're like, I love Cora, she's so good, I want more damage. This is the best one right here for you. Number one, if you're a Cora player, get the Magistar INCARNON. You can go watch my Cora video where I go over the Cora stat stick. It's really nice. But yeah, my number one, number two would probably be the Ceramic Dagger and the Lex this week, because the Lex really does hit super hard. So either way, guys, as long as you don't pick the Bronco, you're pretty much good to go. And yeah, let's hope that those are going to be good for you. It's going to be a good amount of grind to get those unlocked. Alright, so we have the Nightwave challenges, which I will never forget. Actually, before we do that, let's go over the Archon hunt. We got the Amber Archon shard from the Snake Archon, which gives things like casting speed, parkour velocity, and the like. The mission types are Rescue, Defense, and the final boss Showdown. I only got 20% drop rate, unfortunately, but remember, there is a pity system now. Every time you don't get a shard, you're more likely to get it next week as a Tau version. And since we got the Tau fusion system nowadays, getting normal shards is totally fine compared to before. Alright, for Nightwave challenges, let's see what we got this week. Alright, so the first one's going to be Defeat the Aura Worm on Deviri. It is not the Steel Path one, so you just want to do a normal path Aura Worm. It takes 10 to 15 minutes to do this, because it requires an entire bounty completion to get to that Aura Worm at the end. That is the only location in the game to get Pathos claims, by the way. Kill 500 enemies with an Archwing gun. That's pretty easy. If you have a heavy Archwing gun launcher, you can just go into a mission with Zephyr and use her tornadoes and shoot the tornadoes with the Archwing gun. It will just give you a bunch of Archwing kills. That's actually how I usually level up Archwing guns, is Zephyr's tornadoes and the heavy unlocker. Complete an archon hunt is your first elite weekly. Not too bad, as, I mean, that's one of the main things to do on these weekly resets, to get the archon sortie stuff. So good stuff there. If you don't have this unlocked, it is going to definitely require a lot of quest completions to get to this point, but hey, it's going to be here for an entire week anyway. And then the other elite weekly is destroy 3 Necromex Vault Guardians. This is in an isolation vault. These are not rogue void rigs in the Cavia. These are actually in isolation vaults. That content that came out from Deimos, like way back, like, you know, multiple years ago. So if you do a tier 3 isolation vault, 3 Necromex will spawn, and you're good to go from 1 mission. So yeah, the level 2 and the level 1 isolation vaults only spawn like 1 or 2 mechs, respectively. For your permanent weeklies, it's always going to be kill 30 Eximus, complete 15 missions, and kill 500 enemies. Let's check out the cred store this week. Alright, so we got our evergreen stuff at the top. You know, catalysts, reactors, the like. We got some helmets here. Of course, these are going to be subjective. We have the Dagoth helmet. That's pretty cool. And let's see what else we have here. So we have Exposing Harpoon for the Harpack, Bursting Mass for the Mutilus Quanta, and Efficient Beams the Convectrix. If you want to use the Convectrix, you definitely need to have this mod. So, yeah. I'm wondering if they're going to ever add Sentient Surge to here and, you know, Dizzying Rounds for the Bronco and things like that. But, yeah, Efficient Beams is here. If you want to use Convectrix, it's a must-use mod. We've also got Corrosive Protection and Rifle Scavenger as our aura mods this week. Corrosive Protection is still good nowadays, even though it's nerfed compared to like back in the day. Still good. For Mastery Fodder, we've got the Glaive Normal, the Heat Sword, and looks like that's it. So we've also got the Conclave Augment mods down here. Singularity for Nyx, Directed Convergence for the Supra, Brainstorm for the Gracata, and Double Tap for the Latron. This is actually, the math on this is pretty nice on the Latron INCARNON form, so you might want to try it out. I have a Latron video coming out kind of soon, where, you know, I put this mod on there sometimes. It's not really for every mission, but it can be fun in some situations. So, a pretty good mod for using the Latron INCARNON. And that is going to be your weekly reset. I think we went over everything, and I didn't forget anything super important. We're not covering call missions anymore. Let's go take a look at those invigorations in the back. And a reminder, if you want to unlock this stuff back here, it's going to be require you to be grinding on the Deimos Syndicate, and the Necrolisk, that is. Rank 3 to get the helmet unlocked, and rank 5 to get these invigorations unlocked as well. Let's see what we have. These are random per player. Okay, so DE really wants me to play the Anaros rework. We've got 200% power strength for Anaros and built-in 25 heal rate. I've been finding the Anaros rework a little bit boring because the Sandcats like this don't really do that much. But hey, extra power strength could make that pretty nice, huh? Maybe I'll have to make a Anaros video at some point during the week. We also got Grendel with melee damage and reload speed. Those are very, you know, opposite types of stats. You can't really reload a melee in this game. So yeah, at least Grendel will have his guns reloaded and his melee damage increased. He can just do it all. And as far as Baruch, I'll probably use this for the Elite Archimedean because I have Baruch this week. We got primary critical chance and built-in energy rate. So yeah, you can use these for a Deep Archimedean, guys, and they will apply in the Elite Archimedean. So you'll have a hopefully easier time with the frame that you actually have for the week. So I'll see you guys in the next video tomorrow. I'll also be live on stream, like I said, tonight, the last day for drops. I'll make sure I'm streaming for over 3 hours, so if you want to come get the drops, you don't have them already, an extra Archon shard to throw in the pile of all the other stuff you get. So appreciate all the support. I will see you soon, and take it easy. Peace.